Hi guys, this is JP from FSiPanel. On that video, we will be flying the latest training scenario from Geneva to Zurich with the full audio ATC, and I will be using here the PMDG737 800 beautiful aircraft, and we will be using real-world procedures. So I have already loaded the scenario in FSiPanel to save some time, so we'll jump in the cockpit and we are ready to request our ATC clearance. So let's go in the cockpit, and as you can see, everything has been set up. So the only thing I have to do to start the training scenario is to listen to the ATIS to make sure the radar is correct, and then we will call for the ATC clearance. So let's go ahead and listen to the ATIS. So to listen to the ATIS on the new training scenario, you just have to dial in 12345 on the COM2 and make it active.
This is Geneva Information Whiskey, ILS approach runway 22, transition level 80, wind 260 degrees 13 knots, visibility 10 kilometers or more, cloud view at 3,000 feet, temperature 10.8, QNH 1022, Geneva Information Whiskey.
Okay, so we have information whiskey 10 degrees and the QNH 1022 is correct. Let's contact the ATC. We are right now at stand 18. So let me bring the chart for Geneva. So we are right now here at the airport, position 18. So I'm expecting to push back facing toward the east, and then we probably taxi here the link 5 and the outer to the holding point runway 22. As for the SID, we are expecting to depart on the Conil 5 Juliet as per the flight plan. This one is quite interesting, and you have to be careful for different things. The first thing is the terrain, which is not of the airport. So this is why we have a speed restriction. If you look at that particular place here, you can see that we have a maximum speed of 190 knots until passing Golf 603, which is right there. And once you are at this waypoint, you will be flying on the 041, clear of the terrain. You'll be just south of the Jura. This is, you can see MSA around 7,000 feet. So that turn, maybe we will have to keep our flaps down. We have to check with the F-bug and to make sure we comply with that speed. If you increase your speed, you might increase your radius and you might hit some terrain. Today, the weather is VMC, so we can see that, but if you're flying in IMC and maybe with some crosswind, as well from the south, you have to be very careful. So make sure you comply with that. Another thing is Geneva is using noise abatement procedures. So at 1500 feet, we will reduce our thrust, and at 3000 feet AGL, which is in Geneva around 4500 feet, as you can see, airport elevation 1411, we will start the acceleration and retract our flaps. We have some restriction with the altitude, 4000 feet or above here. And finally, we have 7,000 or above at 18 miles Geneva. All right, so this is our clearance. We probably have a clearance limit of 90 initially. So that's what we will fly today. All right, let's go in the cockpit and request the ATC clearance. So 121680, that's correct. And let's go ahead and request the clearance. Geneva delivery, this is FSiPanel 145, stand 18, ready to pick up ATC clearance to Zurich. We have information whiskey.
Good morning, FSiPanel 145. You are cleared to Zurich as filed. Conil 5 Juliet departure runway 22. Climb and maintain flight level 90. Squawk 1354.
Roger, we are cleared to Zurich, runway 22, Conil 5 Juliet departure, climb initially flight level 90, and the squawk is 1354, FSiPanel 145. Alright, so
FSiPanel
1354.
145, read back is correct. When ready for pushback, contact apron on 121.855. Good day.
When ready for pushback, 121.855, FSiPanel 145, bye-bye. 121.855, when ready. Alright, so this is set, and we are clear as expected. If we look into our routing in the Conil 5 Juliet, that's correct, 90, and the squawk is 1354. Alright, So let's get ready for pushback. So we are going to use JSX today, and I'm going to remove the jetway and request pushback. Prepare for pushback and departure. Here we go. Alright, so we are ready for push. Let's go for the before start procedure. So on the 737, here we have one of the pump, the forward pump, which is on. This is to provide the APU. On the new airplane it's not required, but here we have it set. That's something that most airlines will do. Alright, so before start procedures, a good thing to remember is that we have a couple of items. The best way to remember myself, when I teach my second officer, my first officer, I tell them always remember the number of items you have to do. So before start procedure is basically 5 items.
Ready for pushback.
Thank you, we are ready for pushback. We will request pushback in a minute. Alright, so 5 items that have to be done. So if we start from the overhead panel, the first officer, when we are ready for pushback, will do 5 items. The first one is the fuel pumps. So we put all the fuel pumps. The center pump, you will put them on only.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
Roger. Sorry. The fuel pumps, center pumps, you will put them on only if you have more than 453 kilos of fuel in the center tank or 900 pounds. Then this is not the case today. We switch them off. We left them off. Then we move across here and we make sure we have the seat belts and the non-smoking or electronic device to on. Then if we continue up there, we make sure that we are pressurized. So we request a ground to pressurize. And let's say we are cleared. And now we go down here and we have to make sure we have the anti-collision light. So that's 4 items. What is the 5th one that I told you? It's just to make sure that we are switching our transponder so that ground can see us. So here in the transponder, we have altitude reporting off. So that's good. It will transmit your position, but no altitude information, so the ground will see you. You can stay in altitude reporting off or in transponder. Myself, I always just put altitude reporting off. Alright, so now the before start procedure is done. We are basically ready for push. So we are going to request pushback on 121.855. Ground, this is FSiPanel 145, stand 18, ready, push and start.
FSiPanel 145, clear for pushback facing east. QNH 1022, report ready for taxi.
Roger, clear to push facing east, next for taxi, and 1022 FSiPanel 145. Alright, facing east, so east is to my left, so nose to the left, tail to the right. Here we go.
Release parking brakes.
Release parking brake.
Commencing push. All engines clear.
Commencing
Start
push.
exit.
We can start the push and the start. Alright. So now to start the engines on the 737, we have to turn off the packs. If we have the packs on, we will not have enough air coming from the APU to start the engine. So basically now the APU is powering the packs and as well our engines. And you can see the pressure right down is a little bit down. So what we do is we turn off the packs to increase the pressure available for start, and now we can go ahead and start the engine. So we're gonna start number 2 first. So let's go for number 2 on ground, and now we monitor that the start valve open. When we see the start valve open, we should have an increase of N1 and N2. It starts with N2, and we wait until 25% N2 to put the fuel on. About 25% or no acceleration anymore. Sometimes you get stuck. So when you put the fuel, what you are looking at is the fuel flow. That's the first thing you want to see, is a fuel flow. Then you will have a light up. If you have ignition, which is good, in that case the engine is starting. Now it's important to monitor N1 acceleration. So it means we have no malfunctions. AGT is increasing, N2 is increasing, and the oil pressure is increasing. Now we are waiting for 56% N2. Then this is when this switch will release. And when the switch is released, we look at the start valve light, and when the start valve light is out, The call out is engine start cut out. So now we are
Please set
good
parking
engine
brake.
start for number 2. Alright, parking brake.
Waiting your confirmation
Parking
for
brake
good
is set.
engine start.
Yes, I will give her right away the instruction because it takes a long time for GS6 to basically disconnect.
We have a good
Of course, we'll not do that in
You
the
can
real
disconnect.
aircraft, in the real world, but here, let's do it. Alright, starting number 1, we will do the exact same procedures. If the weather is very hot, we could put some air. There is a procedure for that, but I will not demonstrate it today. So let's go for number 1, ground. Again, we wait for 25 and 1 and 2, sorry, and then we put the fuel on.
Unlocking gear.
.25, the fuel comes on. And we are starting our left engine. Beautiful. Engine number 1 is starting.
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
Alright, let's see this again. 56%. Remember, 56% and 2. This switch will go to off. If not, you have to put it manually. Sometimes it's sticky and it doesn't work. And then we wait for the start valve to get out. And then we have starter cut out. This indication, this little red bug, is your indication that the engine is still starting. When that little bug is gone, like now, it's a normal start. It means the FADEC has finished with the engine start. Alright, now we have engine start. We have to do the after start flow. So the after start flow is quite straightforward. Let me show you that, done by the first officer automatically when both engines are started. So the first thing we need to do is bring some electrical. So we put generator 1 on the bus, generator 2 on the bus, then we go up, we make sure that we have the probit on. Then we need to give our passengers some air and as well pressurize the aircraft. So we will put the left pack to automatic. We can put the isolation valve to automatic as well. The right pack will go to automatic, and we don't need the APU bleed anymore. As you can see, we have a dual bleed right now. We don't want a dual bleed, so we turn it off. That will clear that light. We continue down here and we will turn off the APU if not required anymore, and we will make sure that we have the engine start switches on continuous on both engines. Right now we have done the flow. So to make sure we didn't forget anything, we press recall. If recall is not giving anything, everything is fine. If, for example, I will have left that button on, then if I press recall, I should have master caution. Right now I don't because I turn off the APU. So that's a good indication if you press your recall that everything is good. Then we have a quick look at the engine parameter. The best thing to remember on the 7.3, 2, 4, 6. So 20, about 4 something, and about 60% N2. 2, 4, 6. The whole pressure is good. We have nothing in the amber area, so we can clear that lower DU. And now that we have done this, we will do the flight control check. And we don't have any indication here, so we just go full left, full right, full up, full down, and the rudder full left, full right. And that's good. Now I will request flaps 5. And we can request taxi. Let's see if the flaps are moving. Beautiful. Alright, let's call for taxi. Ground FSiPanel 145, ready for taxi.
FSiPanel 145, taxi holding point 22 via inner. Link 5. And outer taxiway.
Roger, taxi 22 inner, link 5, and the outer taxiway, FSiPanel 145. Left side is clear. The right side is clear. Taxi light on. And we are ready to taxi. Alright, so as briefed, easy taxi today in Geneva. We are going via inner, link 5, and the outer taxiway. Very straightforward. Perfect. I love it. When you fly to London Heathrow or some other airports like in the US, it's a different story to taxi the airplane. Alright, let's go. So to start moving the aircraft depends on the weight of your 737. Never go more than 40% N1 on ground, and like now, as you can see, I have around 36%, and then once my speed is good, I can just go to idle and the aircraft should maintain a taxi speed. Now we've got link 5 turning to the left. Here we go. And finally, you can see that we have a nice runway 22 indication sign in front of us, as well as outer for the taxiway that we will take, so we can take a right turn to go to runway 22. So let's go for runway 22. Alright, let's review our takeoff briefing. So in case of any malfunctions below 80 knots, we will stop on the runway. Between 80 and V1, we will stop only for major malfunction, master warning, engine fire, or severe malfunctions when we believe the aircraft will not fly, or if the ATC requests us to stop. In that case, I will immediately and simultaneously disconnect the autothrottle, close the thrust levers, extend the speed brake, and apply max reversals, monitoring the auto brake, which is on RTO, and if the auto brake is not working properly, we will use manual braking. Remember to stop the aircraft toward the wind direction if you have any fire. So in that case, the wind is 240, so slightly from the right. We'll stop on the runway, I will set the parking brake, and I will call cabin crew at station so they are ready for any scenario. Your actions, please, will be to monitor my actions. Call a speed brake up, reverses normal 60 knots, then please set the flaps to 40. This is for evacuation. And then once the aircraft come to a complete stop, advise ATC. Any questions? So that will be in case we abort the takeoff. Should we continue the takeoff and we have an engine failure, we will do a quick rebrief as well. No actions below 400 feet, except bring the gear up, cancel any warning or any light. Then we have a clear cockpit. And then start the APU and inform ATC. Then we'll do the memory items if required, and we will fly all the way to 8 miles, then left turn back to Saint-Pré. We climb 7,000 feet MSA, and we do the checklist, and we can come back to Geneva as the weather is good for landing on runway 22. Any questions? Alright, this briefing, you do it once in the day, basically if you're flying for multiple sectors. And then we just rebrief the escape routes or the maneuver that you have to do at different airports. Some have mountains, terrains, some are clean and flat. So if you fly in Holland, no need to do any briefing basically, except the items or your procedures. Alright, we are approaching runway 22.
FSiPanel 145. When ready, contact Geneva Tower on 118.7. Have a safe flight.
Roger, when ready, 1187, FSiPanel 145. Bye-bye. Okay, tower, so 1187, 118. I hope I'm not in the grass. That's the thing with, that's good. Perfectly on the center line, I was lucky. Let's slow down a little bit, and then I will try to put the departure frequency. If you know the frequency, you find them on the chart, try to tune them early, so then you save time later on. Alright, I think we are ready for departure, so let's call ATC. Geneva Tower, hello, FSiPanel 145, approaching 22, we are ready.
FSiPanel 145, line up and wait runway 22.
Roger, line up and wait 22, FSiPanel 145. Alright, line up, runway 22 identified, approach sector is clear, and we are clear to line up. So here the items will be lights on, except that one. If you have the 737 with the runway edge, just put that lights on. Then we are going to set the strobe lights to on. Just let me concentrate on the lineup, otherwise I'm going to go in the grass for sure. And sometimes I find it difficult to taxi this airplane now with the new MSFS updates. And if you slow down, then it works better. Alright, lining up on runway 22, and I will show you what are the procedures for lineup. I just want to make a nice lineup so that we don't screw it up. Alright, we are on runway 22, so what we have to do when we line up the aircraft...
Panel 145, wind 270, 15 knots, runway 22, cleared for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff to FSiPanel 145. So when we line up the runway, sorry, we make sure we are on the right runway, especially if you have parallel runways. If you look in Amsterdam, you have two runways with the same starting point, so be very careful, make sure you're on the right runway. You should see as well that your departure on the map display is showing straight in front of you with no deviation. If you see any deviation here, we have 0.06 left of what we are expecting to be. If you see a number that is not correct there, or not a straight line in front of you, you're probably not in the right place. So when we line up the runway, we make sure we're on the right runway. One of us, usually the pilot flying, decide whether he will take weather on his side or terrain. In that case, I will take terrain. My colleague will take the opposite. Then we set the lights. So if you have the other lights here on the 737, put them on. The landing light, we keep them until we have the takeoff clearance. So now we are cleared. We have the strobe lights, they go to on as well. And on the 737, this is strobe and steady. So it goes up to strobe and steady. That's one item, two items, and now we are going for the transponder. Make sure you are on TI array, and we can advise the cabin that we are departing. Alright, now we are ready for departure. Let's go for the takeoff. 40% N1. We check that the engine parameters looks normal. If they look normal, you can hit toggle. And now we check the mode. So we have N1, toggle, and we set takeoff thrust. So now the pilot monitoring will check that the thrust is exactly set correctly by the auto throttle. Thrust set. 80 knots. 80 knots, we checked, cross-checked, and now we release a little bit the back pressure on the forward pressure on the yoke, and we wait for V1. V1 and rotate. Let's go for rotation.
Positive rate of climb.
Positive rate of climb. Gear up. Enough captured. Remember to call any mode change. That's very important. VNAV speed. Alright, let's engage the autopilot as I'm a bit lazy. And let's have a look at the departure from Geneva. Very nice. On the other side, we might see the fontaine. Where is it? It's too late. We cannot see it here. Okay. Here we go. So now, 1500 feet as set. We have N1, so we had used to climb thrust. We are initiating our right turn, so make sure you follow the heading bug. So in case you have any malfunction, you can just select your heading and you're not going anywhere but where you're supposed to go. And at around 4,500 feet, which is 3,000 feet AGL for nose abatement procedures, you will see that the speed will increase, and that's the case now. And why don't we go
145, contact departure on 119.53.
11953 FSiPanel 145, bye bye. Okay, 11953. Why the aircraft is accelerating only 2 flaps 1 now? Because we have a restriction right there, which is this 190 knots until that point. So now, can we go flaps 1? You can see that we are exactly at the bug. So that could work, but don't go flaps up. So if I go flaps 1 now, that's fine because I'm flying bug 1, so I'm safe. If my speed will be 180 knots now to maintain, I should not retract any flap. I will just continue until I pass that restriction. Approaching transition, let's contact ATC. Departure hello, FSiPanel 145 with you 6500, climbing 900 on the Conil 5 Juliet.
FSiPanel 145, identified, continue climb flight level 130.
130. Continue climb 130, FSiPanel 145. So 130 is set, we have transition altitude, so set standard, and standard on your side as well, that's good. Now we pass the one bug with positive vectors, flaps up. We don't have any more the speed restriction, so now we can clean up the airplane. And here we should see the fountain right there. Departure airport is right here. We did the right turn perfectly well. On the other side you can see the mountain I was telling you. It is right there, so we have to be careful. Alright, flaps up, no lights. After takeoff checklist plays. So in the after takeoff checklist we turn off the taxi light. If we are not in icing condition, we can turn off the engine start, switches to off. Then we make sure we deselect the auto brake and we put the landing gear lever to off to release the hydraulic pressure, as the up locks are doing the jobs now. Alright, here we go, after takeoff checklist completed. Continue our climb and we are on the way to Zurich. That's a short flight and we will see what happens during that training scenario. 9,000 feet. At 10,000 feet the speed will increase to whatever is my cost index. So if I go to cruise to climb, you can see that we're expecting a speed of 304 above 250, above flight level 100. So you will see flight level 100 now, and now the speed is going to 304 until my max speed reach 62, and then we will revert to max 62. Alright, 10,000 feet, we turn off the light. We can release the cabin crew. And one thing as well that is very important at 10,000 feet latest is to check your pressurization. So we want to make sure that we are pressurizing and that you have a differential pressure. If you look now into the gauge, you can see that the actual cabin altitude is around 1,000 feet and my PSI is around 4.2. So we are pressurizing. If that PSI stays at 0, it means my cabin altitude basically will increase very fast and we will have the oxy mask on. So be very careful to check that. You can do it after flaps up no light. It's a good idea to check there, or you can do it at 10,000 feet.
1 for 5. Contact now Swiss radar on 128.9er. Enjoy your flight.
128.9er FSiPanel 145. Thank you. Bye bye. 128 decimal 9er. 1000 to level off. Swiss radar hello FSiPanel 145. We are reaching level 130.
FSiPanel 145 identified. Climb flight level 150 and proceed direct to Sozal.
Climb level 150 direct to Sozal FSiPanel 145. Alright, as we were already in VNAV alt, you can see the aircraft is not climbing. So I set 150, so what I can do is press the altitude intervene button, which is right there, and then we will get N1 VNAV speed and the aircraft will climb. And we were clear direct to Sozal, so let's put Sozal on top and execute. And every time you change something in your FMC, make sure you see that point right there and the aircraft is turning. And follow your heading bug. That's one of the main things. Always follow the heading bug. Alright, we are going to cruise level 150. Everything looks good. So far, so good. 1000 to level off. Let's go vertical speed to reduce the rate of climb. And we have alt acquired. I can go back to VNAV. I will show you later on. Now we are reaching alt acquired. And as I engage vertical speed, I reverted to altitude hold. Therefore, the window opened here. So if you don't want this anymore, just press back VNAV and you will go in VNAV path. Good, reaching level 150. We are good to continue our flight. That side you will have the Alps later on. When we get a little bit farther, you will see the Alps. And now we are reaching point Sozal. Sozal is the city of Lausanne. It's a beautiful city. I'm not saying that because I live here, but it's really a very nice city. If you want to visit a nice city in Switzerland, that's probably one of the best ones. It's called Lausanne. And if you come here, just give me a ring and we might have a coffee somewhere. By the way, I always have a coffee with me when I fly. So even there, I am ready with my coffee. Alright, here we go. We are going Sozal, then we return to Kored and then flight plan route. So now it's time to relax, make a cruise check. Pressurization is good. We have released the cabin crew. All systems parameter looks good. And we can start to relax. Let's have a look at the weather in Zurich. So if you tune the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the air, you will get the 80s for arrival. So let's have a look.
This is Zurich Information Alpha. Landing runway 28 ILS approach. Flying 240 degrees at 15 gusting 25 knots.
Wow.
Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Temperature 102.7. QNH 1022. You have received Information Alpha.
Ooh, okay, autopilot has disconnected. Cancel portion, try autopilot B.
This is Zurich Information Alpha.
Autopilot
Landing
B
runway
is back
28
on.
ILS approach.
Okay
Flying
guys, we had the
240
malfunction. We need to find out what it was. I tried to put the autopilot, it's there. I have VNAV path, no auto land, and now if I press recall, I can see I have an electrical problem. Let's look up and you can see that we have the whole line here, which is lighted. So basically now what's happening, the system is telling us that the engine number 1 is not powering anymore its bus, therefore the source is off, and on top of that the problem is coming from the drive. So when you have this kind of malfunction, the drive might be on or off. The light always start from top to bottom. Okay, so the most priority is that drive light. So what we have to do here, as per the QRH, we will disconnect the IDG. This is done, and now that this is disconnected, we will start the APU. Alright, let's go ahead and start the APU. I'll show you in the lesson plan. You have all this information. Let me bring the lesson plan that you can see that. So this is the lesson plan that you're getting, and you can see we start with the drive. A generator drive malfunctions occur. So when we disconnect one of these drives, the action is unfortunately irreversible, but that doesn't matter because it's already not working. So we disconnect the generator and it can be reconnected only by maintenance on ground. Then we choose whether the APU is available for start or not. Now we have to be very careful. If the aircraft was dispatched with APU in op, for example, the APU is not available. Therefore, we only have one AC source and we have to land immediately to the nearest suitable airport. Now, for us, we are lucky we have the APU. At least we try to start it. If it starts, we just put the APU generator switch to on, and then we have again an aircraft which is fully capable. Let's see if that happens. I started the APU, so if I look up, I can see that now my APU is available. And I will have the generator bus, so I need to put my generator on the bus. If I put the generator on the bus now, my command is on B, so I have no problem at all, nothing's gonna happen. If I fly on command A, like now, what I can advise you, change to B to put
FSiPanel 145,
standby just one
turn
second.
right, heading 070, you have traffic, 11 o'clock, 8 miles, Boeing 747, 1000 feet above.
Roger, turning right, heading 070, looking out for the traffic of FSiPanel 145. Okay, heading 070, heading cell, we have a 747, 1000 above. 11 o'clock, that's the one here. Let's see if we can spot that aircraft outside here. Where is that 747? Traffic. Okay, traffic, 11 o'clock. Let's see if we can find out that traffic. Right there. Okay, not an issue. Fine. Alright, so what I was saying, guys, sorry about this interruption, is if you are flying on command A, which is the case right now, and you switch any AC generator on the side of the autopilot will disconnect. Let me show you that. And then I can put it back on. Right, let's do that again. I will disconnect the generator and I'm on command A. So that's exactly the situation we were in. So if you have to do that and you're doing your QRH and it tells you to put the generator on the bus, best thing to do, change the command to B, switch your generator on, and now you can get the command back on your side. And you manage to keep the autopilot all the way. That's little trick on the 737 and it's nice to know. Alright, we are clear of the traffic. I think ATC forgot us, or let's hope we get a direct towards Zurich, which is on the left hand side. Now it looks like we are going toward the Alps, so we have to be careful. For sure ATC will let us turn very shortly.
FSiPanel 145, you are now cleared of traffic. Proceed direct to Berceau and contact Zurich arrival on 130.560. Bye-bye.
Okay, another thing, if you don't understand the ATC instruction, push the say again button
FSiPanel
and you will get it a second time.
Of traffic. Proceed direct to Berceau and contact Zurich arrival on 130.560. Bye-bye.
Okay, now if I don't understand or if I'm not sure about the point Berceau or whatever, I can call say again for the second time. And now, as you can see, I have a text window, so it's very easy now to read everything that we have and to comply. Alright, so direct to Berceau, execute, and remember what I told you, make sure you have the right mode, so we need to engage LNAV. LNAV, aircraft is turning to the left to Berceau. Alright, let's read back that. FSiPanel 145 left to Berceau and the arrival on 130.560. Bye bye. And now the window will disappear. Let's go for the arrival. What was the information that we got? Let's see.
This is Zurich Information Alpha.
Alpha.
Landing runway 28 ILS approach. Climb 240 degrees at 15 gusting 25 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Temperature 102.7. QNH 1022. You have received Information Alpha.
Information Alpha. Okay, Information Alpha. I set already, as you can see, I pre-selected here the QNH 1022. And now we are going to contact arrival. And with arrival, you always state your aircraft type and your ATIS information. Arrival, hello, this is FSiPanel 145. We are maintaining 150 to Berceau, Boeing 738 with Alpha.
FSiPanel 145. Expect vectors ILS-28. Proceed Berceau Airmus Dipol.
Roger, ILS-28 via Berceau, Airmus and Dipol, FSiPanel 145. Alright, let's change the arrival there. So, departure arrival, we had runway 14. So we want an ILS-28 and via Dipol. Execute. So she told us Berceau, Airmus, Dipol. TADOB is not required. So Berceau, Airmus, Dipol. Execute. Perfect. Now we can prepare our approach in Zurich ILS-28. It's a short runway with a 3.5 degrees. We will check, I'm not sure anymore. Let's have a look at that approach. So ILS-28 in Zurich. What is important to check here, there is a lot of terrain in Switzerland. So usually if you get radar vectors, it's not a big deal. Just make sure, we will be in VMC, but always make sure that you stay clear. We will be flying probably east of the airport, so our MSA is 4,500 if we stay north. If we go to the south, it's another story, 9,200, but within 70 miles of the airport, it's 5,700. So that's fine. Good, so to brief that approach, we will start from top to the bottom. So first of all, we will check the localizer frequency 109.75 and the course 273. So let's do that. 273. 273. ILS frequency 109.75. If you're not sure, you just click on your init ref and you can see 109.75 to 73. So we are going to set 109.75, 109.75, and as I'm on vectors, I will already activate the two ILS frequencies. Good, so we have the right course, we have the right frequency. Let's continue our briefing.
FSiPanel 145, descend level 90.
Roger, descend level 90, FSiPanel 145. Alright, 90, and I could do a descent now. So let's go 90, and if you press Alt Intervene, the aircraft will descend with 1000 feet per minute until it catches the ideal flight path. So let's brief the cabin. We are going down, seatbelt is on. Alright, let's go back for a briefing. So we are done. We expect 5000 feet at Ramen. This is where we will start our descent. It's a 3 point, let's see what is the glide path angle, 3.3 degrees. You can see there degrees down to the minimum, which is for that approach on the 737 2092. We have different climb gradients. If we have two engines and that weight that we have today, we can go for that minimum, which is 2092. In case we need to go around, we will climb to 4000 feet, so that's very important to remember. Just let me check what we are doing in the flight here. Turning, we're approaching 14,000, that's fine. So if we go around, I always brief the few first things to do, because if you start to brief the whole go around of runway 28, for sure you will not remember. So when you have to fly it, you will never remember the whole story. So what is important to remember is what I have to do right now when I push the toggle button, because things are going very fast. So if we look at the chart, what is important here is to remember the first step. 4000 feet straight ahead, 2.5 miles, 193. So basically that's all I need to know for now. And then we can continue climb to 7000 feet. Then we need to intercept radial 061 to Villisau. At 10 miles we turn right. Can you remember that? Well, if you can, that's good for you. I can't. I will screw it up for sure. But if you tell me climb 4000 feet, 2.5 miles left turn 193, that I can remember. Perfect, so that's what I will do. 4000 feet, 2.5 miles, left turn, heading 193, and then we check the LNAV. LNAV will have the whole go around there, as you can see here, 193, and then the whole go around goes to G-pole. We have the 4000 or below, so that's why we have to climb initially to 4000 feet. Alright, go around is brief. We will use auto brake 3 as the runway is quite short. Flaps 30 for landing, so let's say we're gonna put the arrival speed and done, and we will use full reversers on ground, and we will just brief again when and how we vacate the runway. So let me bring the chart. So after landing in Zurich, we are landing on runway
FSiPanel 145, fly direct Cloton VOR, reduce speed 250 knots, expect vectors shortly.
Reduce speed 250 knots direct to Cloton VOR FSiPanel 145. Alright, so I will revert to level change now. Speed 250 knots. So the aircraft will slow down. And we have been cleared direct to Cloton VOR. So Kilo Lima Oscar on top. And be careful, always the closest one goes on top of the line. So if you select that one and you're tired, you might go anywhere but not in Zurich. So make sure you select the right one, and you can see 16 miles, looks good, execute. After that, we probably get vectors to our initial approach fix, which is Ramen. So I will take Ramen and I will put it right there. So now our FMC is done. Sorry about that, we are going again for a briefing. I was telling you we land on runway 28, and if ATC sometimes they will ask us to try to avoid going to 16 and 34. So the idea will be to vacate the runway via Foxtrot or Echo, and then for the taxi If we vacate to the left, we have a lot of different possibilities, but I'm expecting to park in this area. So we'll see once we land what the ATC instructions are. Alright, turning to Cloton. We have beautiful weather, so we should see the airport very soon. And we are approaching 10,000 feet, so at 10,000 feet we have to make sure that we put our landing lights on so that we can be seen. That's one thing we do at 10,000 feet. We check pressurization, that it's going down as well, so that looks good as well. We have a low PSI, and we check that we have the final nav setting to make sure that the ILS will be displayed on the PFD and that we will be able to fly our approach. As for the nav setting for this approach, we could pre-select a Cloton VOR if we want to. It's a good idea to have a nice VOR as well for that backup. So in that case, Zurich VOR, we can take Zurich East or Zurich Cloton 1485. So 1485, that's a good thing to select. So let's go 1485 just in case, and 1485. 1000 to level off. Approaching 9,000 feet, the speed is 250 as requested, and I'm following with my heading. Let's see if we can spot the airport. Yes, right in front of us we have the airport. So can you guess which runway we are going to land? We have a crossing runway, remember. So where is runway 28? We have a track of 114, and we are going on downwind for runway 28, right? So if you get clearance on such of an airport, like sometimes in the US they have 3 or 4 runways, you're coming over red like this and they tell you you're clear for visual approach runway 17 right. Wow, be careful. Then what I will do, I select the runway and an extension. So if you take a runway, I show you here, I put the runway in front and I put intercept course 273. I will not execute, but that will show you where is your runway. So that's a nice thing to do if you're flying visually, so you make sure you're going to the right runway. Alright, so now we know that we are going to land on runway 28.
FSiPanel 145, reduce speed 210 knots and contact final 125.330.
Roger, final 25330 and speed 210, FSiPanel 145. Okay, 25330. And she wants 210, so be careful when they ask you to reduce speed that you're not going below up speed. Now my speed, luckily for me, 210 is exactly up speed, which is VRF 40 plus 70, so the speed is in fact 209. So that's good for me. But if you have to fly, let's say 200 knots, I will negotiate with ATC to maintain 210. I don't want to use flaps too early, as it is drag and fuel consuming. Alright, so let's contact the arrival, the final. Final, hello, this is FSiPanel 145, maintaining another level 90.
Hello, FSiPanel 145, descend 6,000 feet QNH 1022, turn left heading 050.
Okay. 050, 6,000 feet, heading south. Left heading 050, descend 6,000 feet on 1022, FSiPanel 145. Okay, here I will use a vertical speed as I don't need to descend very fast. So we have vertical speed 6,000 heading VS, and we have been cleared for an altitude with a QNH and altimeter setting. So let's go into the altimeter setting 1022. And we can check that we have the same reading, 9,000, 9,000. That's good. Let's have a look at the checklist, the descent checklist. We check the landing altitude, the recall was checked, the auto brake is set to 3, and landing data VREF is 146. We will check the wind increment later on, and the approach briefing is completed. Approach checklist, altimeter 1022 on both sides, and we can as well set the junior here on 1022. Set and cross check, approach checklist is complete. Alright, now we are on vectors. So what we will do is extend the center line. So you can take your point ramen, put it on top, make sure that the intercept course is basically your final course, 273. And now if you execute, you have a nice runway extension line. How does it look on the right side, left side, and right side? We should see soon. We will see the airport. Excellent. Now the 73 has identified India Zulu Whiskey for the ILS. That's perfect. My source is ILS.
FSiPanel 145, turn right heading 090.
Okay, that looks like a downwind. Heading 090, FSiPanel 145. Okay, we are turning right on heading 090. So let's see if the airport can be seen now on the right hand side. Not yet. But very soon. I think it's time for another bit of coffee. What do you think? It's always good to have coffee when you fly. Not too much, but a little bit. 1000 to level off. And heading is 090. So I'm expecting to turn a beam ramem, as we are clear 6000, 5000, so we're expecting vectors. So now you have to think about when should I reduce my speed. If there is no speed restriction, the 7.3 is nice to come at around 180 knots with flaps 5. You will never screw it up unless you have an ATC restrictions. So that's good. Around 2000 feet AGL, you can go gear down flaps 15, and then you can go with your landing flaps and you will be stabilized by 1000 feet. In Zurich they always give ATC speed restriction, so be careful on that. Alt acquired.
FSiPanel 145, turn right heading 180, descend 5000 feet, maintain speed 180 knots or more.
You see? Okay, right, heading 180, 5000 feet, speed 180 or more. So vertical speed, we don't need to rush. Roger, right turn heading 180, descend 5000 feet on 1022 and the speed 180 or more, FSiPanel 145. Alright, we're turning right on 180, descending 5000 feet. I don't see my glide slope because I'm more than 90 degrees, but the good thing is if you press approach right there, you have a good indication on the junior, on the standby, if you are lower or higher. Now I'm perfectly well, no need to worry. I will go however flaps 1 because that takes a long time to extend, so let's go flaps 1. And why not bugging 1, which is around 190 knots. I'm complying with the ATC instruction. I have flaps 1, I'm expecting green light.
FSiPanel 145, turn right heading 240, clear ILS 28.
Okay, right there. Right heading 240, clear ILS 28, FSiPanel 145. Okay, right heading 240, we have a correct localizer and glide slope indication. Approach is armed, and I will put the second autopilot as well. Good. Lock and glide slope armed. Now that we have 1 and green light, I will just go flaps 5 and I will keep 180 knots as requested by ATC. Beautiful. Let's have a look to the right, to the left, and to the right. Nice. The scenery is very nice. Alright, localizer is alive. We are monitoring now the localizer captured. Here it goes, Vorlock, alt acquired. So now that we are Vorlock, synchronize your heading to the localizer course, which is 273. And once we have the glide slope captured, we immediately set missed approach altitude. Remember the missed approach? I'm sure you cannot tell me the full missed approach, but what I remember myself, go around Toga, flaps 15, positive rate gear up. I go ahead 2.5 miles from the ILS, I turn left on 193, and I climb 4000. That's all you need. And then you can push LNAV and you can look at your chart. All right, altitude hold. Glide slope is coming. Glide slope captured. Missed approach altitude 4,000 feet set. Runway in sight. Perfect. In front of us. Now we're expecting to be transferred to the tower. I think tower frequency in Zurich is 118.1, so I will pre-select that to save time. 118.1. Here we go. 108.1 is pre-selected. So we wanted 180 knots, so I will maintain 180 knots. The latest you should reduce is around 6 miles. Then we need to do something, otherwise we might not be stabilized.
Panel 145, contact now tower on 118.1, bye-bye.
1181 FSiPanel 145, bye-bye. Okay, 1181, that's what we had, perfect. Tower, grid C, this is FSiPanel 145, established on the ILS 28, and we are 8 miles.
Hello, FSiPanel 145. Speed 180 knots to 6 miles, number 2.
Roger, 182.6 FSiPanel 145. Okay, one of these famous speed restriction. So 180 knots to 6 miles. You have the right to be 10 knots less, and you have also the right to refuse. The aircraft safety is the first concern for any pilot. Here we can comply. You will see 6 miles from the ILS. I'll go gear down now. I reduce to bug 5. And we can go flaps 15. We bug flaps 15, bug 15, and we do the items. We are not clear to land. I keep the taxi light off. Engine start switches to continuous, and you can arm the speed brake. Speed is good. We can go flaps 30.
FSiPanel 145, clear to land 28, locate left on Echo or Foxtrot, remain clear of runway 16.
Roger, clear to land 28 will remain clear of runway 16 FSiPanel 145. Clear to land, so I will set the taxi light on. That's a reminder that I'm clear to land. And now the wind is a bit windy, so if we look at our approach speed, we should put half of the headwind. It gives to 18 knots.
1,000.
So let's put, we have 146, the last one. So let's say 154, that's plus 8, that's good. Alright, let's do the landing checklist. So engine start switches are continuous. Speed brake is armed, and we have the lights here. Landing gear is down, and the flaps are 30 green lights. Perfect, and we have missed approach altitude set. We are ready to land. Alright, I'm getting ready for that landing, so I'll disconnect the auto throttle. Oh yeah, it's working. 500 feet,
500.
checked. A bit fast, my first officer will cry for speed. Checked, correcting. And I will disconnect the autopilot shortly for the manual landing. If you have too much speed and you want to reduce and you are that low, be careful not to go idle because of the spool up time. Okay, autopilot comes off. And now
300.
we are going for the landing. Speed brake up, reversers normal, manual braking, auto brake is disarmed, 60 knots, out of reverse. I'll take the second left so I don't have to brake too hard. Here we go.
FSiPanel 145, welcome to Zurich. Turn left on Alpha Taxiway and contact apron 121.755. Have a good day.
Left on Alpha Taxiway and 121.755. FSiPanel 145. Thank you, good day. Alright, left on Alpha. Alpha is on the left. What I will do now is retract one notch of flaps, and FSiPanel will do the after landing flow for me. And I will try to contact 121.755. 121. Seven, 5, here we go, and Alpha is to my left. Here we have the line, so I will just join Alpha and then contact the ATC. Zurich, hello, this is FSiPanel 145, vacated via Foxtrot, joining Alpha.
FSiPanel 145, taxi gate Alpha 09 via Alpha, Juliet, and inner taxiway.
Roger, taxi Alpha 09 via Alpha, Juliet, and inner taxiway for FSiPanel 145. Alright, here we go. So here when we land, the after landing flow is done by the first officer, and the pilot, each pilot will turn off either weather or terrain. So I had terrain, I turn it off, and my first officer will turn off his weather file. So what we do now, we make sure we have the lights, taxi light off, the engine start are to off, we turn off the Preto heat, we retract the flaps to flaps 0, we retract the speed brake, and we make sure we have as well the transponder on altitude reporting off. And now we will tell our nice GS6 that we are being cleared to go to Alpha 09. And by the way, we will get a message from ATC, but that's gonna be myself, and that is coming from the scenario, so you will hear it in a minute. So sorry about that. That's okay. Let's go Swissport. Yeah. Okay, turning right now here on the taxiway on the sorry, Juliet, Alpha Juliet, that's Juliet, and then inner is the next one that we have. FSiPanel 145, this scenario is over. Well done. Thank you for flying that scenario. If you want to leave any comment about it, please end up to the forum. Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, that was a pre-recorded announcement that comes when you finish the training scenario. And here is our gate, Alpha 09. So here what we will do, once the stand is identified, we turn off the taxi light. This is for the ground staff. And we will try to make a very nice right turn here. So once you see that your first officer head is on the line, start the right turn. And again, that is not really nice on that new taxi, but it's gonna work. We're gonna make it. Alpha 09. And let's bring that back here, and we are normally exactly on the center line, hopefully. Alright, let's go for this parking. Taxi lights are off. At this stage you make sure that you have the EPU running, otherwise you cannot switch off the engines. It was already run because we had this malfunction. And now we just park, if possible, exactly on the center line. You don't need any thrust, and you can start to slow down. 9, 8, 6, 5. Ooh, that was a bit too much on the brake. I'm sorry for the passengers. They will complain when I tell them bye-bye in a couple of seconds. And what we want to see is a very nice parking, if possible. Oh. It's not my coffee, it's just the mic. Don't worry. All right. Stop. Let's set the parking brake on. And now you will tell your first officer to put the APU generator on the bus. So this one is already on the bus. that one is on the bus, so generator off, 2 buses coming on. Now we have been landing more than 3 minutes ago, so I can switch off the engines. And once the engines are off, we can do the shutdown flow. So the shutdown flow, we start with the seat belt off and the anti-collision light goes off. Now the ground staff know that they can approach the aircraft. Then we continue with the same 4 items as before. Pumps off. I will leave that one for the APU. Then I go up. The seat belt is off already. Then I can depressurize the hydraulic. And now we need to give some air to the passengers. So on the ground, my isolation valve is always open. And I give some air with the APU bleed. You can see that now they are getting some fresh air in the back. We continue down. We make sure that the lights are off right there. And finally, if we go to the bottom here, we can see that we just have to turn off the transponder. And now we can read the shutdown checklist, and it's exactly what we've just done. That's it, guys. Let me bring the stairs so we can have a nice view for the end of that scenario. Operate the jetways, and we are going to prepare for deboarding. Request deboarding. That's it. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that it was a 40 minutes flight, and we were interrupted a lot by the ATC, but believe me, in a real flight that's exactly what's happening. When you have a training flight, if it's a short flight, you don't have really time to talk about something with your student. It goes very fast and a lot of ATC calls, but I hope you learned something. If you have any question or comments, I'm very happy to answer your questions. Just drop them in the comment below. And as always, stay safe and please subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Thank you very much and have a safe landing. Always safe landing. Bye bye.